Can I prove that everything I thought about dog loyalty was completely wrong? Or have most of us misunderstood what loyalty actually looks like in dogs? For most of my life, I believed dog loyalty was simple. A loyal dog stayed beside its owner no matter what, protected the family, waited at the door, and loved people unconditionally forever. That idea felt unquestionable because we hear it everywhere. Movies, stories, social media, and everyday conversations constantly describe dogs as endlessly loyal companions who never emotionally change no matter what happens around them. And honestly, I believed that too for a very long time. But the more dogs I lived around, the more I started noticing moments that did not fully fit that simple picture. Some dogs became anxious when family routines changed, while others became withdrawn after emotional tension inside the home increased over time. A few became clingy and emotionally reactive whenever the people they trusted most suddenly became stressed, distracted, or emotionally unavailable. Those moments confused me because they did not match the simple version of loyalty I had always believed in. Then one experience changed how I understood dogs completely. A friend of mine owned a calm golden retriever named Max who had always been relaxed and friendly around strangers. But after his owner went through a difficult period involving illness, moving houses, and major emotional stress, Max slowly started changing too. The dog became more alert around unfamiliar people, stayed physically closer to the owner, and reacted much more strongly whenever visitors entered the home unexpectedly. At first, I interpreted the behavior as simple protectiveness, but the longer I watched, the more it felt like something deeper was happening emotionally. The dog was not simply guarding the owner. The dog seemed emotionally affected by the instability surrounding the person he trusted most. That moment forced me to rethink everything I believed about dog loyalty. Another experience stayed with me for years afterward. A rescue dog named Luna had formed an incredibly strong bond with her new owner after being adopted from a shelter. At first, Luna followed the owner everywhere, relaxed constantly beside her, and looked emotionally settled for the first time in years. But once the owner's work schedule changed dramatically and long absences became part of daily life, Luna's behavior slowly changed too. The dog became destructive, restless, anxious, and emotionally reactive inside the home. Initially, some people described the behavior as bad or even disloyal. But looking back now, that explanation feels completely wrong. The dog was not betraying the relationship at all. The dog was struggling emotionally because the relationship itself suddenly felt unstable and confusing from her perspective. That changed everything for me. One thing many people misunderstand is that loyalty in dogs is not always calm, emotionally stable, or perfectly balanced. Sometimes loyalty appears through attachment, anxiety, hypervigilance, clinginess, emotional dependence, or confusion when routines suddenly change. Dogs are not robots emotionally moving through life unaffected by what happens around them. Another moment that changed my perspective involved an older family dog named Duke. For years, Duke had been the emotional center of the household and spent most of his time closely connected to the family. Then the family had a baby. Almost overnight, routines changed completely. Attention shifted elsewhere, schedules became chaotic, and the dog's place inside the household suddenly felt very different than before. Duke did not become aggressive or bad, but he became quieter, more withdrawn, and noticeably less emotionally engaged than before. At first, many people simply described it as the dog slowing down with age, but the timing felt too specific to ignore completely. The dog had not stopped loving the family. The emotional structure surrounding his daily life had simply changed dramatically, and his behavior shifted alongside it. That was the moment I started realizing loyalty and emotional stability are not always the same thing. One thing that surprised me repeatedly was how emotionally sensitive many dogs actually are to human environments. Many dogs absorb emotional instability inside homes far more deeply than owners realize initially, which is why stress, conflict, routine changes, emotional distance, or chaotic environments often affect canine behavior much more dramatically over time. This becomes especially obvious in deeply bonded dogs that closely monitor owner routines, emotions, movement patterns, and daily habits throughout the day. Some dogs emotionally organize large parts of their world around the humans they trust most. And when those patterns suddenly shift, the dog often shifts too. One thing that changed my perspective completely was realizing that loyalty in dogs is often deeply connected to emotional security. Dogs usually bond hardest to people who make life feel stable, predictable, safe, and emotionally reassuring over long periods of time. That attachment can become incredibly powerful, but it also means dogs are affected when that emotional stability suddenly disappears. Another hidden truth many owners eventually discover is that dogs often express loyalty differently depending on personality, breed tendencies, emotional temperament, and past experiences. Some dogs become physically protective, while others become emotionally clingy or quietly attached through calm companionship and constant proximity. That variety matters enormously because many owners expect loyalty to look exactly the same in every dog. One thing that surprised me repeatedly was how often people misunderstood anxious attachment behaviors as bad behavior instead of emotional distress. Dogs that bark excessively, panic during absences, follow owners constantly, or become reactive are often emotionally struggling rather than intentionally misbehaving. That does not mean boundaries or training are unimportant. But understanding the emotional root behind behavior changes everything about how owners respond to the dog. Another major truth many people eventually realize is that loyalty in dogs is not blind devotion, disconnected from emotion. Dogs are emotionally responsive living creatures deeply affected by the environments and relationships surrounding them every single day. That emotional complexity is exactly what makes the human-dog bond so powerful. One thing that changed my perspective completely was watching how differently dogs behave around people they deeply trust compared to people they merely tolerate. Deeply bonded dogs often relax differently, recover from stress faster, seek reassurance naturally, and remain emotionally connected even during difficult situations. That connection goes far beyond simple obedience. Another hidden truth about loyalty is that dogs often continue loving humans even when they feel emotionally confused, stressed, overwhelmed, or insecure. A dog can remain deeply attached to someone while still struggling emotionally at the same time. That realization changed how I viewed behavioral problems completely. In many situations, the dog is not becoming disloyal at all. The dog is often emotionally overwhelmed by changes inside the environment that it does not fully understand or know how to process calmly. One thing dogs constantly reveal is that loyalty is rarely simple. It is emotional, adaptive, deeply relational, and heavily influenced by the environment surrounding the dog every single day. And once I started understanding that, my entire relationship with dogs began changing too. The more I observed dogs closely, the more I realized true loyalty is not really about blind obedience or perfect behavior. Real loyalty is often about emotional connection, trust, attachment, reassurance, and the deep desire to remain close to the people who make life feel safe. This deeper understanding of loyalty binds us to others in a way that transcends mere obligation and transforms our connections into something truly profound. Ultimately, it's this enriched sense of loyalty that fosters unity and resilience among us, creating bonds that withstand challenges and celebrate shared journeys, reminding us that our relationships are foundations of understanding, trust, and mutual growth.